I was like, well, why hasn't she rung me? You know, she's
spoken
to me for one day. She hasn't rung me.
Yeah, and the house is so quiet, isn't it?
Yeah.
When they're not there.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us on another instalment of LL's The Truth. So I've got with me special guests Sharon and Sheryl.
Hello.
And as we usually say, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. So we're going to talk about empty nester. So we've heard this description or syndrome a lot. So what does it mean? Empty nest syndrome is when you're feeling, it could be a feeling of grief and sadness, especially when children leave the home due to going to college or university. And then you're left with feeling probably sadness or grief, as I've just said. But it's also the case that this syndrome is not readily picked up because children leaving home is a natural occurrence in life. So you wouldn't necessarily pick up on the fact that you're actually experiencing empty nester syndrome. So we are parents. Some of us, our children are still with us, and some of us have left the nest. So what do we feel about this syndrome? For me, it's not necessarily one of sadness, but I also adopt, well, it's a great opportunity, it's a new chapter. I've been able to focus all my career and personal aspects around making sure that my daughter has had the best footing in life and everything's been centered around her. So now it's my time. What do you think, Sheryl? Because I know you've had your child leave.
Yeah, I feel as though, and I didn't know that it was a syndrome. Like I didn't know there was a thing, kind of like with
kind of negative syndrome, isn't
symptoms. Yeah. But I remember when you were talking through that definition, I remember the first time that that my daughter was going to view a uni, was going like for a uni open day. And I think it was the first one. And I remember literally opening the front door to get into the car. And I remember like a feeling of sadness, I felt it. And I was almost like tearing up, because I thought, this is the start now. She didn't actually end up going away for uni for the first year. I think she didn't go away until her third year, I think. But yeah, it's definitely, it definitely leads to a big change, in how you lead your life and everything. Yeah. Big shift.
Well, I'm coming to you, Sharon, in a minute. So you were just talking about that overwhelming feeling. That brought me back to I'd taken my daughter to halls and I went with my mum, so that's 3 generations. And we got all her stuff, transported it all the way to a new city, put her in the halls. And then when I had to say goodbye, I just felt overwhelmed, as I say, I was choked. I couldn't even speak. I'm like, where did that come from? Because I think the realization just happened. She's actually left home. And she's embarking on something that is going to change her. Her always relying on me. So she's got this new independence now. I don't know. I got to know if she remembers. I was just crying and holding her for ages. And my mum was just sitting there watching me.
Yeah, because it's definitely, there's a twofold thing, isn't there? There is that sadness because your wishes and your hopes for them in terms of the future, all of that is wrapped up in that moment.
But is it sadness? I'm just wondering, is it sadness though?
Well, you might have been partying on the way back to the car thinking, that you were free.
I suppose sadness has connotations of upset, I suppose. But it wasn't upset. It was more of, oh my gosh, am I going to have to let go a little bit, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because they're your little handbag though, isn't it? Your child is
she definitely was my handbag.
Is your final, isn't it, really? It's your heartbeat, and your heartbeat is actually leaving you and doesn't need you anymore. And that's the hardest thing, I think, whenever I get there. It's going to be, me no se me ball. It's not that about it, I will cry.
I think especially when you're close to your kids.
Exactly.
I think that's the thing.
You've got a good relationship. It's hard.
Yes. So definitely the first year, especially, I was like, well, why hasn't she rung me? You know, she hasn't spoken to me for one day. She hasn't rung me.
Yeah, and the house is so quiet, isn't
Yeah.
it? When they're not there.
Yeah.
The house is so quiet.
So we're going to go on to some of the stuff that happens when they leave. And so I would naturally be thinking about, okay, I've got to do breakfast, lunch, dinner. So now they're not here. So you're thinking, well, okay, if I need to, I'll get something. There's no,
There's
planning.
No time, is there?
No planning. Oh, I've got to get home from work by a certain time. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
I
find that you actually you almost like start to eat worse, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Because when you're caring for somebody else, you put more attention, don't you, into cooking for them, making sure that it's healthy, it's presented nicely, all of that. When it's just you might just have cheese and wine.
Yeah.
Is that your lifestyle? Okay, Cheryl.
Because it's not for somebody else. You know what I mean? You kind of, you don't.
She forgot the grapes, love.
Or dare I say, you even forget to eat.
Yeah, exactly.
So that sort of responsibility and that flexibility about what you do, you don't have to have this structured sort of sometimes regimental way of living, do you? So Sharon, it come, So
don't know if I'll cope with that.
So I was saying earlier, just discussing with you two before we even started to air, that you forget, because sometimes the kids, they're already assigned to their room anyway. So you could be in the same house, but they're in their room or they're doing their own business. I remember one time I was in the house and my daughter had obviously left, and I was so used to her being around, and because children are sometimes in their room doing their own thing, you don't necessarily, because they're not right in front of you, you don't remember that they're not here. So I was looking at something and I just ran into her room to say, look at this, forgetting that she wasn't here. I'm like, wow. So it's those sort of habits. It takes an adjustment. I don't even know if I've completely adjusted to it. More so, it's been like some 2-3 years now. But it is a bit of an adjustment.
Yeah.
Someone just said to me it's 4 years. That means I definitely have not got to.
Yeah, definitely. Because
I have not got.
Because I think I'm only about 5 years, and I think I probably feel as though reasonably well adjusted. Although we speak a lot on the phone.
Yes.
I think we speak at least maybe 4 or 5 times a day on the phone if we're not.
Yes.
And even sometimes when we have seen each other in the day, we still are talking 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah. So that's really good to have that that relationship, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I suppose at this time, you sort of, the dynamics between you changes.
Yeah.
From, not to say you're not still parent, but that friendship is more of a situation. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Can you see that changing anyway with yours as they get older?
Maybe. I think with the boy it's different, isn't it? Because they just go off and do their own thing, don't they? But I think with my daughter, she ain't going to leave home anyway. I don't think. Not for now. When it does, I don't know how I'd feel, to be honest. Because unless you're in that situation, you're not going to know, are you?
Yeah.
I can only think or assume that, maybe I will. I know I'm going to cry anyway, so there's no ifs and buts about it. But I'm living my life now. Even though they're at their age, I've got my life now anyway. So I'm not waiting for them to leave.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I need to do now. So then when they do go, it's not going to be hard for me to deal with.
Yeah.
But I think it's difficult for not just young people, but to try and buy your own home. Because the amount of money you need just to get a deposit together is phenomenal right now. So we might find that the empty nester syndrome is not going to be.
It's going to be tough.
as occur as often as it usually does.
Yeah.
Because of that situation. So, but do we ever think? Because even if that that child is still living in your home, they could still be working. So at what point do you move from that actively parenting, to that advisory role? And how do you sort of transition into that role?
Yeah.
So that's the question.
It's difficult actually, because you want to allow them to stand on their own 2 feet.
Yes.
But you also want to support them. I think especially if you come from like a working class background where you didn't have much, you know, and you know how hard it is to kind of get that start, you know, to get on the property ladder or whatever. So you want to support them financially, do you know what I mean? So if they say, oh, you know, I need some money for whatever, you are quite likely to kind of give it to them. It is difficult.
Within reason, I think, because you always want to make sure that you're giving them the best opportunity, aren't you?
Yeah.
And if they're not on their feet yet, but they are definitely making waves or making plans to do that, you don't want to help them, don't you?
Yeah. I know that the one, our daughter had sort of, when she was maybe about sort of 16, she sort of said, I don't want to go on holiday with you and Dad anymore. It's really boring. Yeah. Right. So we had we had a nice sort of big family holiday. And then ever since that, we can't get rid of her. So every year now it's, where are we going on holiday? Which
the grass
nice.
Was not greener.
Exactly. So I think for years to come, we're going to be taking her, you know, and her dog and her kids and whatever, all on holiday with us, you know. Yeah.
So, Sharon, is there anything that you think that you will not miss if your kids leave home? So what are sort of things that you're having to
tend to tidy up their room?
Right.
At the big age that they're at, I don't have to say tidy out your bedroom. In fact, I can use their bedroom as a closet, so that's fine.
You know that walk-in closet wardrobe that you wanted for how long?
Yes, once they've gone, I'll be able to have that.
Have you been able to do that?
I haven't, you know, because apparently the room that's not in use is still there.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I had.
If they don't live there and they've moved out, it's not rightfully yours.
They're not paying no rent or mortgage now. And then still
I've had exactly the same thing. You can't clear out the room. As though they still live there. You know,
I want to buy a chaise lounge. I want to decorate. I want to do this. I'm like, well,
we have finally cleared it out now, but it took a long time.
Still need to have that bedroom for when they do come home, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It took a long time for us to clear it. Yeah, a long time.
You're just on this seesaw, balancing out. Oh, have they gone? Have they left? Are they still here?
She wouldn't even like if somebody came to the house, you know, if we had like guests over.
Yeah.
She wouldn't even like for them to stay in her room.
No.
This is years
but
after she'd gone, you know.
Though, don't you think? Because when you're growing up, I can remember when I was growing up, I didn't like anybody sleeping in my bed.
What, after you'd left home?
Even if I'd left, I'd be like, why? I know I don't live there, but it's why. But it took a while for me. In fact, when I left home, I was home every weekend with my pitney. And Dad's like, I thought you'd left. I was like, I have. But not really.
So, Sharon, you're still going home?
Not now.
No, you're still going home and you're getting your nice goodies.
Yes. Yes, I can still go to my parents' house and have my bag of shopping to come home with.
Bag of shopping?
Yes, green banana. What else is there? Lime.
Are you going to do the same for your kids?
Yeah. Because it's what we've raised into, isn't it? So every time they come home, do you need anything? No, I don't, but you still get it anyway. Or Mum will say, well, have this, but make sure the kids get them box juice and them liquor this and them liquor that. So,
That's so funny.
So if you're watching this now, if you've left home, what do you still claim? Even though you've left the house, but you still claim that room is yours? Really? Do you still do that? Comments down below, please.
Do you steal toilet paper from your parents' houses?
really?
My daughter does that.
Does she?
Because it's the better quality.
Must be.
I can't be bothered to buy her own.
I'll just take this.
I'm taking this. She just walks out the house with it.
Oh my goodness. So, can you stand back and let your kids make mistakes?
But you have to.
Yeah.
I personally think, as much as my kids are younger than your two, I allow them to make their mistakes because that's the only way they're going to learn. So you can keep on saying, oh, don't do this or don't do that. Be careful of this and be careful of that. Until they actually do it, they're never going to understand. So they have to make that mistake to learn from it, to know, said, you know what, I ain't going to do that again. And they won't.
So it's important then that they're able to come to you even though you've made that mistake, because you must have already given them sort of parameters or what the consequences are going to be. So then they come back to you to discuss it.
Yeah. But I've done that from there was a young age anyway.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm like, you can make a mistake, but remember, you're the one that's got to fix it. Because I'm not fixing it for you.
Yeah, that's good. So that advisory role is sometimes difficult, isn't it? Because sometimes you want to get involved in, I mean, I can speak from experience where, for instance, if your child is newly leaving the house or the nest, as they say, and there's some sort of official situation that you know their rights, but because they're just new, they're just brand new. They're brand new in this situation. You give them the guidance, but they're like, "Mom, can you speak to them?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, but you're gonna have to be able to do this. But then they've done it, and the outcome is not the same. So you get on the phone, if you're anything like me, and you quote whatever act and this whatever act. These are the rights, consumer rights acts, and this is what you should be doing as a landlord. Da, 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 da. Right, and then all of a sudden you're able to mend that situation. So there are instances, I would say, that you do need to step in, because I do feel that organisations or people can take advantage of people,
especially when they're new
know
to it as well,
that they don't know what they're talking about, or they don't know what the rights are. So I would say yes, but yeah, it is difficult to allow them to make mistakes, but that's the only way they're going to grow, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you ever take advice from the kids the other way around?
What about yourself, Cheryl?
Well, the reason I'm asking is because I do find, maybe it's because my daughter's probably the oldest of the three, but I guess in terms of where the relationship is sort of going is, obviously, generally, obviously we're the ones that have lived longer and are wiser and everything, but as they grow and mature, obviously then they learn things and kind of bring new perspectives, which I think is interesting. It's the evolution of the relationship. Do you know what I mean? I think it's quite nice. Yeah.
I suppose this sort of contributes to another episode where we talked about do children get away with murder? So that we were talked about there is that you were, in certain circumstances, you were instructed, but you really didn't have a dialogue and a conversation. So this is where those parameters change, and you're more open, because they're an adult now, to listen to another point of view and to actually challenge what your point of view and see whether there's any merit in what they're saying, isn't it? Yeah. And I think that also gives them a bit of confidence about that relationship that you have between the two of you.
Yeah.
If they feel that their voice can be heard and you will acknowledge what they're saying. So I think what I should say, or what I ought to say here, is that there obviously there's another angle to this syndrome, is that people do feel that grief and feel really sad, and their mood can change as a consequence of it. And I would strongly urge that anybody in that situation should obviously get some help in respect of that, because your mental health can be, and your well-being can be affected. And so we will definitely put some links to either your GP or some organisations that can help you in those particular circumstances. But certainly what I would promote is that try and take this opportunity, this new chapter in your life, to refocus and do things such as create that business that you've always wanted to do. Put the plans together. There's a lot of us that are in some important or positions in life of responsibility at work. So why can't we just put that into place for ourselves and put a business plan together and just go for it? There is no failure in failing. It's just about the mistakes that you make in life and how you learn from it.
Especially for women. Especially for women, because often our whole identity is wrapped up in being a mom. You know what I mean? But, as women, we're more than that. We're the mom, but we're also these other things. So it is a great opportunity to reconnect and figure out what you want to do. And definitely.
Those friendships, the travelling, all the stuff that you couldn't do because you put other people first, you can do now.
Yeah.
But what I do find is that I've seen a few articles of when the children have gone, the parents suddenly realise that they haven't got anything in common. So what was holding that relationship together?
The kids.
Yeah. So you re-rationalise, why am I in this?
But then don't you have to question then, right, when you get together as a couple, should you forget your friends that you had before, because that does happen, and just you and your husband or you and your partner just do everything together, or do you used to continue to have your friends and his friend, but you can still come together? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the two of you can go on holiday. Equally, if the opposites want to go away on their own with their girls or the lads, why not?
Yeah. I think you can have the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
Definitely.
So then when the kids leave, it shouldn't be a problem because you should be able to have that common denominator between the two of you.
Yeah, definitely. So there's two sides to that. One, you can think, well, hold on a minute, I don't like this person. We have nothing in common. We've grown so far apart.
Yeah.
That maybe I need to think about why we're together. Or you think, this is an opportunity. Let's actually spend some quality time now.
So I do think
what we had.
I think it is important though, because when you do have children, there is that big gap, isn't there? But equally, it depends on the individual. How are you going to plan your life out? I model my life on my parents.
Yeah.
Because that's how they live their life. Do you know what I mean? They will go on holiday together. My mum will go on holiday with her sisters or her friends.
Yeah.
My dad's not that kind of person.
Yeah.
But so long as they have their holiday together, they'll do so. And I do exactly the same.
Yeah.
You know, and it works. It doesn't work for everyone.
Because your parents are modern, man.
You know, but that's what, but I enjoy it.
Nice. Yeah.
Because you're going to be able to have that separate life away from each other.
Yeah. You're still a person, you're still an individual.
Yeah,
exactly.
And you lose yourself, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do. It's
when
easy.
It's all about the children.
But you do put your kids first.
Yeah.
Any parent or parents do put their children first. And it's only when they've got older you realise, oh, what am I going to do now? Because you haven't kept it going.
Yeah. And because a lot of the conversations have just been about the kids.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the stuff that they've got to do and how they're brought up and all that sort, and just the day-to-day of getting them to wherever. But I think there is something about I always say, think about what was it that brought you together first in terms of the real deep values. You know what I mean? The stuff that's really important in terms of, you know, that the integrity and the trust and the real deep stuff, because the chances are that's still there. You know, even if things have changed, because 20 years on you probably are slightly different people, you know. You might have grown in different ways, but actually those real core values that brought you together are probably still there. So I always sort of say, you know, just really still look for those and try to reconnect back with that, and, you know, start doing new stuff together and whatever. Treat it as like an opportunity to maybe start dating again, you know, each other again or whatever. But that shouldn't have left in the first place though, because I know it does go out with some people, but date nights is so important.
No, that's
really
the truth.
important.
That is the truth. Date night, yeah. We tried it, it never lasted, date night. It didn't last. Yeah.
So please let us know where you are in your empty nesting syndrome episode. Are you looking to rekindle, bring fire back to the relationship now that the kids are gone? Or are you one of the ones that's re-evaluating your situation? I hope not. But anyway, let us know. Please subscribe. Please do make your comment and share. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.